Well, it's martini time again, and welcome. And I always say this martini is my reward for getting through the day. So, and I always ask my frog to dive down into the pond of the unconscious and come up with an idea. I want to show you a new clock I got. It doesn't require any batteries, solar power, winding. It's very inventive. Okay. That was my uncle's. He left a lot of little interesting artifacts. But an idea struck me this morning. I've been writing on Facebook, and it's been getting some traction. And that's this United Airlines debacle that spreads like wildfire. And I ask questions. Now, this is not new. I mean, almost every day or every week, at least, there is a new, usually starts on a YouTube. Somebody captured a drama, and it goes viral. And when it goes viral, it divides into two views. You have some for, some against. So these divide, it's like an egg. So a news event happens, and it's an egg, and as soon as the egg gets into the media, it's cracked into two eggs. And then the conflict between the two is like two tomcats chasing each other. My favorite is the snake that devouring its own tail. So this starts going like a vortex. It starts out with a little whirlpool, and the next thing you know, it's a hurricane. You see what I mean? It generates energy. And I want to understand that. Why? What is the pattern here? Why do these things generate energy? And they get very big. They even get on the evening news, you see. It's got so much energy, and we keep seeing it over and over again, and every time we see it, we get more energy. So it's a energy generator. It doesn't need any external energy. It's kind of like that sand clock. I mean, you don't have to wind it, you don't have to juice it up or anything. It just goes like itself on its own. And why is that? What's going on? Because our news is Our cultural life is filled with these. We have a very short memory. We seem to look at everything as a separate event. Oh, look at that! Oh my God! You see, the woman screams when he's being pulled off. You see, but we don't see the pattern. And without the pattern, there's no understanding. Without the seeing the pattern, we just get swept up in the whirlpool and start battling it out with you. You're not realizing it's a Groundhog Day, like the movie Groundhog Day. You know, it's a karmic whirlpool. It's the same pattern with different contexts, different people, different situation. But we always look at it as something standing alone, you see. But everything is a pattern. Form, action in life does not stand alone. It's always in a pattern. So self-understanding, self-realization, awakening your mind is awakening the mind that doesn't stand on a pattern. Awakening the mind or awareness that doesn't identify and lose itself in a pattern. Because when you lose yourself in a pattern, you're determined by the pattern. You're not free. You are controlled by the pattern, and you repeat the pattern over and over and over again, hoping for a different solution. And some say that's madness, you see. So what is the pattern of the United Airlines ejection of a passenger, screaming, yelling, passengers yelling, oh my God, what are they doing? Oh my God. I remember when I was working with the Courier Record, and every week one of my jobs was to fill in a little piece called From the Record. Now in the Courier Record, which was a local weekly newspaper, goes back to the 20s. I would go back and they had all the papers there, and I'd go back and look in the old papers and find something interesting that would be from the record. And the most interesting thing I found that sticks with me was this recurring news event where people would die in the winter sitting in a Model T that was idling so they would keep warm. And the carbon monoxide fumes would come up through the floorboard and they would die. Now, you would think that the family of somebody who died in a Model T, whose floorboard leaked poisonous fumes, would sue Ford for damages. No. The solution was roll your window down. Different times now, different times. People were damaged by products, by corporations all the time. And it was the individual's responsibility not to be stupid, to read the label. Even if the equipment was faulty, it was still the individual's responsibility to not get damaged by this product, you see. And now it's just the opposite. It's the corporation's product, responsibility not to damage the individual. And of course, accidents, if you pass a regulation and you remove all of, and this is the way it's been moving, is that you have a unforeseen accident, somebody gets hurt by a product, they change the product, pass a regulation to do something, so it won't happen again. But everything is changing. There are new variables happening all the time, new situations that the product managers or product inventors could never imagine. People will use something in a way they never imagined it could be used in. I'm reminded when my mother, who was 100, was working on her computer, and I was her tech support, and she would say, "It's not working." And I would go over to see what she was doing, and I could never imagine what she did because she would just push buttons, try anything to make it work, you see. So so it was always to try and retrace to the original, what she did, was always a challenge, because she would invent new ways to screw it up. So we're always inventing new ways to screw up something, and it's the corporation's responsibility to anticipate that, or after it happens, to change the products or the rules so that won't happen. So it's kind of like there is a utopian belief that we can create a world in which no accidents, mayhem, or death will happen. And if it does happen, then insurance will cover it. So it's kind of like the new utopia. And I just bring that Model T thing up again because that kind of like shows you how far we've gone from the Model T killing people who didn't open the window to thousands of cars being recalled now because some condition that was not anticipated creates a possible accident or possible damage that needs to be corrected so it won't happen. So it's a preemptive correction before something might happen that was now possible. So this is a pattern. Okay, I think I'm getting a little far from the United Airlines thing, So the United Airlines, what struck me was that the two values competing to be the one value. Now here's something about value. Value does not like competition. Value wants to be the one value that covers all. Value means the value that has no second. We like to think of our values as absolute. It should cover everything. One value. This is a subjective view. My value is subjective. It's not objective. Science is objective, and it doesn't give you any value. It just tells you how things work. It doesn't tell you what's valuable. So value is subjective. So we have subjective values. And a subjective value we feel are absolute. That's why we have religious wars. Religion is about values. So if whether the subdivision of other religions, everybody breaks their values. There's like Protestant value, and then it gets broken down into everybody's separate church value. So everybody keeps breaking their value down into smaller and smaller values, but each one believes their value is the only value, the true value. So subjective values are absolute. They don't like competition. So in the United, now we're just flying by air here. So in the United Airlines thing, the subjective value is the outrage we feel about this individual who refuses to obey the order of the corporation to get off the plane. He just says, I won't do it, you see. So he broke the law. He's hauled off, you see, screaming. Everybody's saying, oh my God, why are they doing this, you know? So that's a subjective value. Now what's the competing value here? The competing value in here is and some people did this. So when they said, you're selected, you got to get off the plane, they got off the plane. They were obedient. You never hear from them. They're gone. They got their $800 or whatever they got, or another ticket, and they got another plane and they got $800 and they're gone. This guy said no. Okay. But the video of it made it subjective. So we identify with the pain of the individual, see? So his value becomes my value, and now I'm outraged. And then there is the value of the corporation, or you could say law and order. All right, so they have a law, and they'll probably have lawyers to go ahead and defend their position. They had a contract, they're probably within the law. So there's a law and order versus individual subjective value. Objective versus subjective. And this began in the 60s. I was there. In the 50s, it was all objective value. Everybody was expected to obey social norms, social customs, your place. There were no black values, gay values, very little women's values. They didn't have the vote. But there were very little individual values. There was property values, and there was corporate social values and social customs, and your duty was to obey social law and order. So there was the Vietnam War. It's in that view, it's your duty to go to war. But that generation, which became the me generation, said, wait, I don't feel like going. I don't believe in this war. My individual, as an individual, I object. And so they formed together, you see, and formed in opposition to the war and went on. But you can see this was the beginning of this conflict between the individual values versus the group's values. And these are both valid values. We need them both. If everybody just did what they wanted because they felt like it, there would be social disorganization, chaos. If the social organization imposed its value on order on everybody, you'd have fascism, or you would have a theocracy. When religion and government come together, you have that kind of like you obey the order because it's divinely ordained. And if you don't obey the order, you are anti-patriotic or you are anti-Christ, either one, but you should obey. So there's this conflict, you see, between order and individual rights, and it flares up in the media because it feeds on subjective feelings, it feeds on outrage, it feeds on, oh my God. See, it feeds on that because it gets viewers. When you identify with the individual who is being beaten up by the cops or tossed out by the airplane police, you see, oh my God, I have feelings. That's a subjective connection. I feel his pain. I feel his pain. Clinton used to say that. I feel your pain, you see. Feeling your pain, you see, that gets viewers, you see. So, but it splits into two conflicting values, and then that creates a whirlpool, a viral whirlpool that swirls through the media until the next one comes up, you see. So we live in a hurricane season now. A whirlpool happens in California and it's a hurricane in the globe. You know, that was the old quantum physics thing. You know, a butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil and creates a tornado in Texas. You see, so these little butterflies are being captured by videos. Everybody's a reporter. Everybody's capturing everything, posting it in the warm sea of the internet, and the little bitty whirlpool creates a huge hurricane of conflict of these two views, both of which are valid. So it's the ambiguity that these little whirlpools create, and we hate ambiguity. We want to have one value, one view, not two realities. Let there be one is the commandment of the cosmos. Jehovah in the Bible said, only one God. Let there be one God, one truth. You see, let there be one. You can't have two realities or you're schizophrenic. You see, you can't, you're split screen. You got two opposite realities. We can't live with that. There has to be one reality, not two. So the drive is to be one, but the drive also is to split the one into two. And then the two go around like tomcats, trying to become one again, trying to restore unity. So these little whirlpools are basically two opposite values trying to restore unity by eliminating the other value. We have to see that. There is, when you have a whirlpool of two equal values, opposite, mutually dependent upon the other, each defining the other, going in a circle, trying to restore unity by getting rid of the other one, by eating the other one, but they can't because they're equal. It's like a tennis match between masters that never ends. Two master tennis players play and they're equally matched. They'll go on forever until the frustration gets so bad that one of them pulls out a gun and shoots the other one. You know, like Indiana Jones in one of his movies. You see? So the tension between these two opposites trying to become one gets very great, and it will end up in violence or creativity. So the whirlpools that we create are opportunities for a creative solution or a violent solution, which is usually the way they go. This particular confrontation or whirlpool on United Airlines ended up in violence. Instead of finding a creative solution where both won, where the airline wins and the passenger wins, no, they ended up with the corporation, the airlines win and the passenger loses. You see, but it was caught on tape. You see. So this is the brave new world we live in. So just think about this next time you see one of these little whirlpools blow up into a hurricane. Just try to use that as an opportunity to see the pattern and understand what the operational system is going on behind it, instead of just buying into the emotional instant and taking sides and getting into fights and thinking the world's going to hell in a handbasket, you see. It isn't. But we can understand it. And that's the important thing. So thank you, and I'll see you in the morning.